Hello, dear students. I hope you all are doing well. Today, in this video, we'll be learning about social perception as well as some of the nonverbal communications. Before jumping into social perception, I just wanted to explain. I'll take 1 minute to explain what is perception. Perception is basically the mental process that allows us to take raw sensory information from the environment and transform it into meaningful experiences. It's how we become aware of things around us and understand them. So basically, perception is not just about perceivably receiving information, it's an active interpretive process that shapes how we experience the world. Now we will start with social perception. Social perception is basically the process of interpreting and understanding information about other people and social situation. How the social perception works? We basically gather cues from the facial expression, body language, tone of voice, and context to make judgment about someone's emotion, intention, and personality. If I have to give one example, suppose if someone is crossing their arms and avoiding eye contact during a conversation, we might perceive them as defensive or uninterested. So, social perception is basically how we make sense of other people. Whenever we meet or observe someone, our brain quickly start collecting clues to figure out what they are feeling, what they might be thinking, how they might behave next. It is like being a detective, but instead of solving crime, you are solving people's puzzle. So, how does this work? Basically, our brain gathers social cues such as facial expression like smile or raised eyebrows, body language, tone of voice, and the context. Context means the situation they are in. So now let's talk about moving forward to communication. Before start with non-verbal communication, I just wanted to talk about communication in one sentence. Communication is basically the process of exchanging information, ideas, thoughts, feeling, or messages between individuals or groups using a shared system of symbols, signs, or behavior. Basically, there are three types of communication. One is verbal communication, one is non-verbal communication, and the other one is visual communication. Verbal communication is basically where we use words to share our messages. Non-verbal communication is basically using body language, facial expression, gestures, tone of voice, and other non-verbal cues. And visual communication is basically using images, symbols, charts, or graph to convey information. Now we will talk about non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is basically the transmission of messages without the use of word. Here, what we do in non-verbal communication, we don't use any kind of word. Verbal communication, what we do, we use words. Express just by saying something, we can express, we can convey the message. But in non-verbal communication, we do not use any kind of words. We use different channel. Those channels can be like facial expression, gesture, posture, eye contact, touch, personal space, and tone of voice, all those things. For example, smiling while greeting someone, it can communicate warmth and friendliness even without saying a word. So, in this video, we'll be explaining about two nonverbal communication styles or ways: facial expression and gaze and stares. In other video, next video, I'll be explaining about body language and touching. So facial expression is basically, it is like these are the movements of the muscles in the face that convey emotions, reactions, and intentions without using words. They are a key part of nonverbal communication. Why facial expression matters? Facial expression actually matters because they often reveal true feeling even when words do not. They help others understand our emotion quickly. Some facial expressions are universal, meaning people across different culture recognize them. Suppose, for example, happiness, anger, sadness, everyone understood. Just by looking at your face, they can figure out. Some common facial expression and their meaning. Suppose happiness, that is basically smiling, raised cheeks, and sometimes showing teeth. Sadness is dropping eyelids, sometimes tears. Anger is basically furrowed brows, glaring eyes. Another type of facial expression can be fear, like wide eyes, raised eyebrows, open mouth. And surprise can be raised eyebrows, wide eyes, open mouth. Okay, if I have to give one example, will be like if someone says they are fine, but their face shows a front and dropping eyes, their facial expression may indicate they are actually sad or upset. Facial expression can be voluntary or involuntary. Understanding facial expression improves empathy and social interactions. Next nonverbal communication is gaze and stares. So gaze is basically it's a form of nonverbal behavior where individuals use their eyes to communicate feelings, regulate interaction, express affection. It is considered like one of the strongest signal of attention and emotion. And if I have to talk about stare, if I have to explain what is stare, a stare is a prolonged, often intense, unbroken gaze directed at a person or an object. It differs from normal eye contact because of duration, intensity, and emotional impact. If I have to talk about the characteristics of stare, it's basically longer duration than casual eye contact, often feel uncomfortable to the receiver, usually involves wide eye or fixed eye. It can signal both positive emotion or negative emotion. So a stare is an intensified form of eye contact. It can communicate power, intimidation, admiration, curiosity, or trauma depending on context, culture, emotional tone. Uh, for in this video, I'll be stopping here. In the next video, I'll be explaining about other two nonverbal communication like body language, touching. Apart from these two, also there are some other nonverbal communications that I'll be explaining in next video. Thank you.